underhooked here, or worse, double underhooked, is the beginning of basically somebody setting up the submission, okay? So the first step isn't even necessarily arm triangle defense, it's just getting out of a situation and mount where now you're in immediate danger, again, of being submitted, okay? You can crawl this arm up, not just for the arm triangle, for arm bars, even stuff like Americanas, okay? So, a couple things we want to think about here first, especially if we feel him sinking in here, okay? We want to think about doing two things. We're going to prevent the arm triangle down here, and we're going to prevent a lot of further submissions down here. So down here, if you were in the last class, we were tucking our elbow inside of the knee and framing here. We're going to keep doing that same thing, so again, he's not crawling his knees up, okay? For the arm triangle, I want the choke to be displaced, okay, the pressure. I don't want it to be pushing into my neck like this. So as soon as I feel this tight crossface here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shrug my shoulders and I'm going to tuck my chin, okay? Almost like I'm going to hide my face here, okay? Now it's going to buy me a lot of time to try to escape. So just like the basics class, we want to have nice wide feet for a good bridge. Feet are close, okay? We're bridging towards the underhook. We do not want to bridge this way. If we do, he could pass my arm. Yep. He could take my back. Lots of different things, okay? So we're bridging this way, all right? So I bridge, and I'm going to use that space to slip this elbow back to the underhook on, okay? So I'm bridging, okay? From here, cutting this elbow in. Now we can go to a double hip frame, or basically what we were doing in the last class, a full hip frame here, okay? If you guys want to add the mount escape from the last class, you can. Otherwise, we're just going to stop there. Objective right now is to escape the underhook. That's it, okay? Maintenance in case he advances, okay? Frame on the hips, elbow in, face down, shoulders up, okay? Bridge towards the underhook, punch, elbow straight, and now we've turned it back into a more neutral mount. Does that make sense? Any questions? From here, if somebody has their feet crossed, okay, it shouldn't stop you from bridging.
Like you can still bridge with his elbow down here.
Yeah. Alright, that's fine. And usually the mount escapes I teach are like typically suited for like bad situations like that too. Okay. Now let's talk about other things. Like you guys aren't gonna see this as much because it doesn't really do a whole lot for me. Okay, you'll see people putting grapevines like this. Okay. It's annoying if, like, you know, maybe he's a bit newer to the sport and he doesn't know what to do, but very simply here, Ulysses is just going to straighten his leg, and he's going to pummel his feet in, and again, from here you can start bridging again. Okay. So I'm not too worried about stuff like that. Makes sense? Do this, you know, you just want to be really careful about this unless you plan on fighting MMA one day. When you start to get your grips back, do not hug the waist. Okay, this is a big, big risk, and it's not going to get you out of mount. Okay. Ulysses is exposing his arms to me here, okay? I can do a lot of different things like monoquadas, okay? He's not protecting his neck, so sometimes you'll get Ezekiel here, okay? Lots of bad stuff can happen, so don't body lock from the bottom of the mount, okay? Let's go into when the submission starts getting locked up, okay? So, Ulysses passes my arm, he gets his hands locked, okay? A bridge here, unless he makes a huge mistake and buries his elbow here, okay? I can't really do things like off balance him. He's pretty solid here, okay? So, this is actually one of the worst places to be in an arm triangle, okay? If he's still in mount, a lot of like the general defenses aren't gonna work, okay? So, what we're gonna do here is pretty simple. What I wanna do is like a derivative of like what some people try to do, okay? So some people try to do stuff like this, but again, if he buries his head, or he unlocks his free hand and just pulls my wrist back in certain directions, like he'll still get it, okay? Answering the phone, okay, same thing. Like he could just push this back through. Or if his choke is just generally good, like you'll still get choked while you're answering the phone. So really, the opening here, guys, is at the temples, right? So I don't want to push this way. I want to push into the opening this way, all right? Now, again, we need to complement that with a bridge. That's going to be hard without space and movement. So again, we're going to widen our legs. We're going to bridge towards where the underhook was, so towards our trapped arm now, okay? So I bridge. As I bridge, since I'm already locked into the submission, it's acceptable to take this hand off now. I'm going to take this hand off, And as I bridge, I'm gonna make an S grip and I'm gonna start grinding my elbow to the ground, okay? If it doesn't come out right away, that's okay. Okay, you're just gonna leave it here. Because now Ulysses has to try to pass my arm again. And a lot of times while he's doing that, that's when you're gonna slip this back to the middle, okay? So one more time. So he's got a full arm triangle locked. He's got the arm all the way across. He's temple to temple now, and he's committed to staying in mount. He's not jumping off, okay? It's important to identify that. We're gonna talk about when he jumps off next, all right? So from here, I'm still gonna make a good bridge. Off my bridge, I'm gonna make an S grip, and I'm gonna try to turn my elbows as parallel to the gap between our heads as possible. I drive my elbow to the mat, I keep it tight to the mat, as again, I work back through, and I start to get my frames. Make sense? So Ulysses locks up his arm triangle, he dismounts. Okay, so when he dismounts, what we're looking at now is not bridging, right? It doesn't really make a lot of sense to bridge right now because his weight's no longer on top of me. Okay, so if I, for example, if I like bridge here, unless it's really loose, not a whole lot's gonna happen. Like you could slip the elbow, but if he's really tight here, you're pretty stuck, all right? So the main movement isn't bridging this time, it's actually bringing our hips to the outside. We're gonna use that main idea for both escapes, okay? So for the back roll escape, what I'm looking to do is make that angle with my feet, and as I do, I'm gonna start looking towards my feet, okay? So I'm walking, 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 and I'm rolling over my outside shoulder, okay? Now, you guys might have a lot of ideas as you're scrambling here, okay? The safest thing you're gonna do is get higher than him, get bigger height here, okay? So, ideally we would end up in something like a body lock, but if Ulysses starts coming up with me, okay? In terms of a scramble, if we stand up, okay, we can maintain a good neutral position. So he hops off to the side, okay? I'm gonna start walking out. As I walk out, I'm gonna look away from me, and I'm gonna continue walking until my weight comes through my shoulder. This is like a Granby roll in reverse, okay? Then come to the top. Make sense? Okay. So here a few months ago, this is a Granby roll. Okay? I'm basically doing that, but with a rewind button on. Make sense? Arms out, okay? Now you can time this. This is why I say this one's a little more preemptive. Once I feel that he's gonna drop off, that's when you can hit it a little more fluidly, okay? However, if you're new to this escape and you haven't seen it before, I told a few of you this, okay? I mean, again, that could just be a body type thing. I'm a little smaller, that's easier for me to do, okay? If you find that hard to do, you should focus on walking your legs out first. And instead doing a more mechanical version first. Because what's gonna happen if you're not used to that is you're gonna kick up, and then your weight is gonna drop right back down and you're gonna get really discouraged. It'll be difficult, okay? Even when I do the walking method, if Ulysses feels this and he pulls my shoulder back to the mat, it's gonna be really tough, okay? So, that's what we're gonna switch to the hitchhiker escape. So from here, what I'm looking to do is pendulum my legs if I can't walk, okay? It's gonna help me build momentum here, okay? Now, just like the last one, once my legs get to the outside, that's when I'm gonna look to hit my escape. Okay, now this one's all about getting your shoulder back through the lock, okay? Now, a big reason I don't prefer this one is because if I do it, to some degree, I'm exposing my back more. Yes, you could switch to a chair sit at any point, okay? So it's really important that if you're gonna use this one, as soon as you get this hitchhiker angle, you don't stay here. You keep going to the same angle you did with the last one. Keep walking up, come up, and try to win that battle for height. Identical to the first one after that, okay? So we're kicking. As soon as my legs get to the outside, I punch, I split my legs. Now I just walk up the same way. Okay? One tip there. Up, Ulysses is gonna go in my back. Alright, so kicking, getting momentum. I punch down as I come up. If he's going to my back, I come up onto my toes. Okay? If he's really insistent on getting in the back and you're coming up to your toes, what can you do there? Just stand all the way up.
doesn't want to give up that back control and try to take the side and get the turtle, stand all the way up and start wrestling again. Does that make sense? So sitting on top and sitting on top and sitting on top. That's when we can realistically get all the way back to the feet if he's committed to trying to take you back. You guys understand? All right, cool.